Guyana in the Caribbean. Lush and mysterious rainforests, white and sunny island beaches, right? But how much do we really know about the history and culture of this region? Join us and together we'll go on a voyage of discovery. From the Ghats to the Caribbean, the Indian indenture system and its geographic origins. The abolition of slavery in the British West Indies in 1834 marked a watershed moment in our history, but it also created a void in the labor force that sustained the region's lucrative plantation economy. To fill this gap, a new system of coerced labor emerged, Indian indentureship. Hi there, and welcome once again to the Aaron Darcy Project. This is where we look back at the people, places, and events that are an indelible part of the history of Guyana and the Caribbean. I am your host, Andrew, and today we look at the places from where the Indian indentured servants came. History tells us that between 1838 and 1917, over 500,000 Indians were brought across the Atlantic Ocean, which they called the Kalapani or Blackwater, to the Caribbean. As they left the shores of their motherland, these people were embarking on a perilous journey that would indelibly shape their lives and the cultural landscape of their adopted homelands in the West Indies and in Guyana. Today, we take a look into the intricate web of factors that led to this mass migration, examining the specific regions in India from where these indentured laborers originated, the often deceptive methods used to recruit them, and the arduous journey they endured across the seas. This massive migration was indeed a geographic tapestry of Indian indentured laborers. In the Caribbean, they were collectively referred to as coolies, a term often laden with derogatory connotations, and which is still widely used today in the 21st century. But while they were alike in their fortune or misfortune to be a part of this mass movement, their origins were diverse, spanning a vast geographical expanse within India. Understanding this geographic diversity is crucial to appreciating the complexities of their experiences and the rich cultural tapestry they wove in the Caribbean. Let's take a look at where these indentured servants came from in India. The majority of indentured laborers hailed from the northern Gangetic Plains, particularly the present-day states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand. This region, densely populated and predominantly agricultural, was plagued by poverty, famine, and landlessness, making its inhabitants particularly vulnerable to the allure of overseas opportunities, however misleading they may have been. In Uttar Pradesh, districts like Ajmagad, Busti, Faizabad, and Gorakhpur were major recruitment hubs. The fertile lands of Awadh, once a prosperous kingdom, had fallen into economic decline under British rule, pushing many farmers and artisans to seek alternative livelihoods. In Bihar, districts like Patna, Gaya, Saran, and Champaran witnessed significant outflows of indentured laborers. The region's vulnerability to floods and droughts, coupled with exploitative land tenure systems, created conditions of chronic hardship. The tribal-dominated region of Jharkhand was once rich in mineral resources but had been exploited by colonial industries. This forced many of its indigenous inhabitants, particularly from the Santhal and Munda communities, to be drawn into the indenture system. While the North Indian hinterland provided the bulk of the indentured laborers, a significant minority also hailed from the southern coastal regions, primarily the present-day states of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. In Tamil Nadu, districts like Tiruchirappalli, Tanjavur, and Madurai witnessed considerable emigration. The collapse of traditional weaving industries and the impact of famines in the late 19th century pushed many to seek opportunities elsewhere. And from Andhra Pradesh, the northern coastal districts, particularly Visakhapatnam and Godavari, saw a steady stream of immigrants. Economic hardship and the lure of higher wages in the Caribbean attracted many from this region. Laborers were also recruited from some other parts of India. While less prominent, other regions of India also contributed to the flow of indentured laborers. These included West Bengal, particularly the districts bordering Bihar and Jharkhand; Odisha, mostly from the northern coastal districts; and Maharashtra, a small number from the Konkan region. The recruitment of indentured laborers was a complex and often exploitative process, riddled with deception and coercion. The colonial authorities relied heavily on a network of intermediaries known as arcades, recruiters, to procure laborers from the Indian hinterland. These arcades, often working on commission, employed a variety of tactics, both persuasive and coercive, to lure unsuspecting villagers into signing indenture contracts. Arcades often painted a rosy picture of life in the Caribbean, promising high wages, comfortable living conditions, and the opportunity to return home with substantial savings. They would often embellish their tales with fabricated stories of returning coolies who had amassed wealth and prosperity in the land of sugar. These arcades preyed on the vulnerabilities of the poor and marginalized, exploiting their desperation and lack of awareness. They would often target those facing economic hardship, indebtedness, or social ostracization, offering indentureship as a means of escape from their current states of despair. In some cases, arcades resorted to outright kidnapping and deception, luring individuals away from their homes under false pretenses or even forcibly abducting them. They would often target young women and children who were particularly vulnerable to exploitation. There was often a misrepresentation of contracts. The indenture contracts, often written in English or legalese, were incomprehensible to most villagers. Arcades would deliberately misrepresent the terms of the contract, downplaying the hardships and exaggerating the benefits in order to secure their signatures. Once recruited, the indentured laborers embarked on a long and arduous journey across the Kalapani, the black water that separated India from the Caribbean. This voyage, lasting several months, was fraught with peril and hardship, leaving a lasting impact on the physical and psychological well-being of the travelers. The journey typically began at one of the major immigration depots, such as Calcutta, Madras, or Bombay. Here, the laborers underwent medical examinations and were assigned to ships, often overcrowded and unsanitary. The journey to the Caribbean involved a long sea voyage, often with stops at intermediate ports like Mauritius or Cape Town. The conditions on board the ships were often deplorable. Overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and poor food led to outbreaks of diseases like cholera, dysentery, and scurvy. Many perished during the voyage, their bodies consigned to the depths of the ocean. Upon arrival in the Caribbean, the laborers were assigned to plantations, where they were subjected to harsh working conditions and strict discipline. Their lives were governed by the terms of their indenture contracts, which bound them to their employers for a fixed period, typically 5 years. The Indian indenture system was a complex and often brutal chapter in history, marked by exploitation, hardship, and cultural disruption. Yet, it also gave rise to a remarkable story of resilience, adaptation, and cultural fusion. The indentured laborers, drawn from diverse corners of India, brought with them their languages, religions, customs, and traditions, which they preserved and adapted in their new environment. Their contributions to the cultural landscape of the Caribbean are profound and enduring, shaping the region's music, cuisine, festivals, and social fabric. Understanding the geographic origins of these indentured laborers, the methods used to recruit them, and the arduous journey they undertook is essential to appreciating their legacy. Their story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure adversity and forge new identities in the face of displacement and exploitation. It is a story that deserves to be remembered and honored, not just in the Caribbean, but also in India, the land from which they embarked on their extraordinary journey across the Kalapani. We hope that you have enjoyed today's episode of the Aaron Darcy Project. While not a complete picture of the Indians of the Caribbean, we trust that it engenders some appreciation for this part of our Caribbean heritage. Do join us for the next episode of the Aaron Darcy Project. Goodbye for now.